This happened during Horde of the Dragon Queen. The party was a human paladin, a human rogue, and a lizard folk wizard, which was me. The party had found the cultist camp that we were looking for and were scouting it out to try to learn their routines. I used my weasel familiar to go inside some of the tents, but he was quickly spotted and killed. This put the camp on red alert. The paladin and the rogue donned on some cultist robes that they had stolen and tried to blend in. They rolled terribly on deception and were immediately spotted and captured. Now, I had to get them out. They were coming up with their own plans, so I decided to cause a little bit of chaos. Natural cliffs lined the outskirts of the camp, and on one of them was a watchtower that was positioned above a large number of tents. If I could cause it to collapse, it would definitely cause a lot of damage. The guards in the tower noticed me and began combat. I was able to kill one of them, and the other had to climb down the tower. By using a ray of frost to make the supports more brittle, I damaged the tower to its breaking point. At this point, I was out of spell slots and low on HP, and probably would not survive another round of combat, so I decided to do something incredibly stupid. I grabbed onto the falling tower, hoping that I might survive. What I hadn't realized until this point was that the rest of the party was imprisoned in the area where the tower would fall. Midway through their escape plan, the tower crashed through the tent and hit them, leaving the paladin and the rogue at 1 HP. I also fell and was downed. The tower crushed all the nearby enemies, including a drake. At this point, the DM just ended the session a bit earlier than usual because he genuinely wasn't sure just what to do. Tildir, I knocked a watchtower into an enemy camp and successfully broke every bone in the area, including my own. The premise was that the beholder that guarded a section of dungeon had gone mad and would not control his telepathy, which resulted in his thoughts being broadcasted across the whole area. Initially, I thought that brooding voice of an unknown creature in players' heads would foreshadow the danger and make them more cautious. However, the beholder was also paranoid. When the players were spotted by his spies past the entrance and initial line of defense, I thought, what would happen if Beholder, learning of the intruders, decided that he was done for and it better to escape as fast as possible. But first, he had to destroy all of his quote-unquote treasures so that they would not fall into the hands of these quote-unquote thieves. Of course, the players heard that in their heads. Then I started rolling d10s. And each time something other than disintegrate came up, the beholder grumbled and complains. What can I say? I've never seen a party of players race through a dungeon quite like that, ignoring traps, POIs, monsters, and everything. Murder was in their eyes for that beholder. Aside from that rather amusing bit, the idea of broadcasting telepathy resulted in an interesting take on battle tactics, as the beholder telegraphed his intentions and commanded minions during the round openly, allowing players to consider some tactical decisions during their turns. The beholder was slain, and the players managed to save one of the few quote-unquote treasures that he possessed, a petrified mage that he kept as a pet rock. He was mad, after all. This story happened about an hour ago. I'm still kinda in shock and laughing my ass off of how I did this. So, in my group, we usually switch DMs after one of us finishes our campaigns, so most of us have experience running stuff for groups. I had to work late and didn't have time for prepping anything, so one of my players offered to run a one-shot that he made, and it was going to be at 20th level. I have never played a game that has gone past level 12, so I was super excited. For this occasion, I brought back one of my favorite characters, Giuseppe Cacciatore. He was a human warlock whose patron had sand base for his abilities, and was essentially a cross between Mario, Borat, and Akoreo, who wears a fez. One of my favorite characters who was in a campaign that kind of fizzled out, so I was excited to give a conclusion to my boy. We each got to choose a rare and legendary magic item, along with the DM explaining that we'll need them. So, obviously, I chose the Staff of the Magi, since Warlocks can take it, and it gives me some more options for casting spells. We start the game in Baldur's Gate. It's me, an opera-style elf bard, a half-elf echo knight blood, and a half-orc eldritch knight wizard. We went through the mini-dungeon and our group was hired to investigate. The only thing that happened of note in there was the half-orc losing his arm in a sphere of annihilation, which got regenerated almost instantly. We get to the end of the dungeon, and Azrak is waiting for us inside a ritual circle. He finishes up, turns to us, and says, "Hey, you can fight me, or you can let me be and go fight my friend." Then we hear a huge roar and run outside. And there, coming out of the Doom Eternal-esque portal in the sky, Tiamat. Yep, my friend's hard idea was for the four of us to fight Tiamat with no backup. We go into planning mode. The half-orc casts a heck ton of buffs on himself and charges in. The bard and cleric assist with the DPS from range, and I cast True Polymorph and transform into a Balor. The half-orc gets in a lot of hits and had added force damage to him, but with one hit he's down half his health. I try and attack it, but since Tiamat is immune to lightning and fire, we essentially do nothing to each other, and I revert into my human self. After that, things go south. The bard gets hit with a lightning breath that leaves her at 9 HP. The half-orc tries to run but gets snuffed out, and the cleric is about to bolt. Out of game, we were all getting tired and ready to call it quits cause this was too OP. However, I asked if I could do one last thing. See, in the past, Giuseppe has been known to somehow come in the clutch when things look hopeless. So I was looking through my spells and items, and I saw something I could do. I said, I run up to Tiamat, and with my action, I'm going to break the staff. See, the staff has a thing where if you break the staff, it explodes, dealing 16 times the number of charges left of force damage. So, 16 times 41 equals 656 points of damage. Also, there is a 50% chance of the person breaking it teleporting to a random plane. So when the light dies down, there is a gargantuan skeleton of a 5-headed dragon goddess with a fez lying next to it, as Giuseppe wakes up in pandemonium. It's safe to say that I feel like that was a fitting end for Giuseppe, but who knows? Maybe the Giuseppe Chronicles will continue, but for now, I'm satisfied with him killing a god.